On this channel, $1 Million Made Easy, we love to run numbers. I want you to look at this chart. This is probably the most important chart you're ever going to see with financial planning because there's so much here if you start studying and looking through it. What I've done is if you save 10% in this column, if you save 10% of your column for 36 years and you put in the S&P 500, which has averaged over 11% every year for the last 100 years, you would have the same amount or more than what you actually made in those 36 years. Here's what I'm talking about right here. 10%. Say you're making, doesn't matter what you put in. Let's say you're making 60,000 a year. And we're going to change this to 36 years. How much will you make? 60,000, 36 years. You make 2.160 million. And over that same 36 years, if you're saving 10% of that 60,000, which would be $500 a month, you would have when the S&P 500 and you got the 11% that the S&P is average, you would have 2.280 million. In other words, you'd have back more money than you even made in those 36 years. That's why I asked the question, how would you like to accumulate sum equal to every dollar you ever earned? But I showed this in a previous video, so you've already seen this. I want you to consider something else. Consider if you did 8%, then it'd be 38 years. If you save 6% of your income, it'd be 42 years. But this is what I really want you to key on, especially for young people. This shows the importance of getting it in there early. If you just saved, say you're just starting out, you're making $30,000 a year, which is like $15 an hour. I just want to get down to and you only can save 4%. Guess what? That's $100 a month. $100 a month. How long do you think it would take to get back every dollar you ever earned to have a sum equal to that? I want you to look at these numbers. 47 in those 47 years at 30,000. Again, if I took into account inflation, all these numbers would change, but they'd work out basically the same. Over those 47 years, whatever amount you put in there, I'm going to put 30,000 because I'm considering here's somebody that's 20 years old, not making much more than $15 an hour. Over that 47-year period, you're going to pay $1.410 million, saving just 4% of that, not 10, not 12, not 14, but just 4% in 47 years. In other words, by the time they reach full retirement Social Security age of 67, if they had it in the S&P 500 and it averaged 11% it has been doing, you'd have more money than you actually made in those 47 years. My whole point in making this video is get started, get it in there young. If you wait till you're, say, 39 or 40 years, and you have to save 20% of your money to get it back. Let's run these numbers. On the stock market, S&P, you'd have to save for 26 years. So if you did 20%, say you were making $60,000 a year, you're 39, 40 years old, you'd need to save $20,000 or 20%, be $1,000 a month. In 26 years, you'd have all the money back you ever made, which is good. But notice, it's 20%. And I could run any of these numbers. My whole point in making this video is get it in there early and look at the kind of numbers you can have just saving just 4% if you can be in it for the long term. The longer you wait, yeah, you can get your money back, but you have to put in a lot more in, 14%. It takes less time. It all kind of works out, but I'm just trying to really encourage a young person. You don't have to save 10% off initially because that might be hard for somebody making, let's just say they're making $36,000 a year, which is $18 an hour. To save 10%, you have to save $300 a month. Well, when you're making $36,000, $300 a month might be kind of tough. But if you could save 4% of that and can do that for 47 years, you got your money back. All the money you ever earned in those 47 years, you've got it back. Actually, it comes out to be about 46 and a half years, 46.5. Yeah, a little bit more than that. Anyway, you'd make in that 46.5 years, you'd make this, and in the stock market, in the S&P 500, averaging 11%, if it did that, you'd get 1.663. In other words, the whole point is get started young, and you don't have to save near the percentages, and eventually you're going to have millions of dollars. Our channel is called $1 Million Made Easy. There's so many more things I could point out from this chart or some of the other ones. So please subscribe. Please share this with your friends, and keep watching. I'm going to keep putting out videos that'll be very educational for you.